Hi guys, it's Arielle here from Fix My Books, and today I'm going to show you the top 5 ways to lower your bookkeeping/accounting fees. Okay, so number 1 is don't put things off till the last minute. So be early. We all know when the tax filing deadline is, and make sure that you have enough time to get your stuff together to your bookkeeper before the deadline. So I would say, make sure you have at least around 2 to 3 months before the tax filing deadline is, and get all your documents together to ensure that your bookkeeper has enough time to get everything together before the deadline. Also, just take note that it's easier to catch up 3 months worth of bookkeeping versus 2 years worth of bookkeeping. So I've had instances where I'm talking to a client, I give him my quote and he goes, that's a very reasonable amount. And then he sees the final quote, right, for the 2 years worth of bookkeeping, and they go, okay, that's too expensive. The thing is, I have to do the same amount of work, right, for the same amount of money. So if it's 2 years worth of things that I need to do, I'm going to charge you 2 years worth of bookkeeping fees. You're not getting any discount by putting your bookkeeping off, let's say once a year. I'm still going to charge the same amount of money, and other bookkeepers will still charge the same amount of money. It's just going to be easier for you guys to be able to pay, let's say $600 for 3 months worth of bookkeeping compared to $4,800 for 2 years worth of bookkeeping. So the price will stay the same if you put it off for 3 months, if you put it off for 2 years. It's just going to be harder on your wallet because you're going to have to fork out a big amount all in one go in like one lump sum, right? So there are less and less bookkeepers in Canada. I think the average age of a bookkeeper in Canada is around 55 years old. So there's less of us to do the work. More people have started businesses during the pandemic. And the good bookkeepers know what they're doing, know what they're worth, and it's why their clients never leave. Usually with bookkeepers, if you have a good practice, once you have a client, they're a client for life. Most of my clients, if not all, are still with me. I've done some one-time contracts like, I'll do the bookkeeping for a year and then maybe next year they'll find a different bookkeeper. But my regular monthly clients that I do the bookkeeping for monthly, my first client is still with me up to now. So another thing why you shouldn't put things off till the last minute, and I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, is that accounting softwares don't pull the transactions from the bank for long periods of time. Meaning, even if you connect your bank account to QuickBooks Online, your whole transaction for the last 3 years is not going to go up there, right? I've had a client where we needed to do 3 years worth of bookkeeping, 2017 to 2020, all in one go. The accounts of the client were not even set up for online statements. So what happened was he needed to go to the bank, print off all the statements, and then submit it to me. Now, you're thinking, okay, so you have the statements, they're paper statements, what happens next? So those transactions still don't show up in QuickBooks. So your bookkeeper will need to have a special software to be able to convert those statements to the QuickBooks Online format or the format of whatever accounting software that you have. So those softwares that convert that cost quite a bit of money. So if your bookkeeper doesn't even have that software, your bookkeeper will have to enter things manually one by one. Let's say you connected your bank account to QuickBooks and only 2020 is there. So from 2017 to 2019, if your bookkeeper doesn't have the special software to convert those paper statements into QuickBooks Online format, your bookkeeper is going to have to enter those transactions manually. They may charge you hourly, and that's going to take a very, very long time. So that's why I tell you to please don't put things off till the last minute. Get your things ready and make sure that your bank accounts are connected to QuickBooks. It's pulling in transactions. Again, I've dealt with these type of things. I have the special software to be able to convert paper statements, but others might not, and they may have to do it manually and then charge you hourly for entering all that data. And that's just going to be something that will push your accounting fees higher. So another thing as well, why you shouldn't put things off till the last minute, some bookkeepers charge a rush fee on your bookkeeping. So if you get it to them 2 weeks before the deadline and it's peak tax season, they're going to charge you extra because that's something else that's going to have to be rushed. And, you know, they or maybe another person in their team are going to have to work 12, 13 hours days, you know, to be able to meet the deadline. So just make sure that you get things to your bookkeeper on time and allow them enough time to be able to do that. And also, you might not be, or you're most probably not going to be the bookkeeper's only client, right? There are other people or projects or businesses that are in their workflow or pipeline. It doesn't mean that once you get the statements to them, they can do it right away. So that's why don't put things off till the last minute. Okay, next. Get organized and inform your bookkeeper. So one way to lower your accounting fees is by not mixing business and personal expenses. The bookkeeping will be done quickly if everything in the account is a business expense and everything, all the money coming in are sales, right? So if you're mixing business and personal, it's going to be really hard for us bookkeepers to figure out, okay, what type of expense is this? Is this a business expense? Is this a personal expense? And then making those adjustments based on what you did or what you're going to be doing. So just make sure that you separate these and everyone will have an easier time and you will get lower bookkeeping fees. Another thing is to be a low maintenance client. So a low maintenance client means you get the documents to your bookkeeper on time, you give the documents completely, and then, you tell them if you've done anything, like, I took out a new loan or something like that. So I have low maintenance clients that get things to me on time. And even though, they have more transactions than what I'm really charging them for, I don't like to push their accounting fees higher just because, I'm comfortable with them. They're comfortable with me. They're a low maintenance client. So they can stay at the lower accounting fees for longer periods. Like if I'm happy and they're happy with the fees and they're a low maintenance client, I can keep them on the same fee for a couple of years and not charge extra, even though they have more transactions, because they make my life easier. Another thing is to submit complete documents on time. So this is another thing with being a low maintenance client, as I mentioned. So if you submit things completely, the documents are complete and they're on time, you fit in my workflow, you're not disturbing my workflow, I'm happy to keep your bookkeeping fees lower. And I don't need to keep going back to you asking for more documents. Hey, you missed this one, you missed that one. And this just wastes everyone's time, and it will not only frustrate your bookkeeper, but they're more likely to up your fees because of the wastage of time that's happening asking you for more and more documents. They will definitely charge you extra for this if they're charging you on an hourly basis. Again, I charge a flat fee, so this really doesn't factor that much in terms of my fees, but if you have someone doing your books hourly, they will definitely charge you extra for this. So another thing that would be great to have, like as a bookkeeper, is if you're landing a new client, you should inform your bookkeeper, hey, this new client is a US client. Why is that important? Even though you're charging them in Canadian dollars, why is that important? Because for us bookkeepers, we would know, hey, this client is in the US, we don't need to charge HST on that sale. So things like that affect the sales tax, it affects the way we do your books. And the more information we have, the less we have to ask of you and keep going back to you. The more informed we are, the lower your accounting fees. And your bookkeeper will just be happier in general with you. So another thing, if you took out a loan or line of credit, let your bookkeeper know. So that's why this topic is get organized and inform your bookkeeper, right? So sometimes I would just see, a big deposit into a client's account. And I'm like, there's no invoice for this. Is this a sale? Is this a loan? Is this from a line of credit? I can't guess, right? Accounting is very precise. So just inform your bookkeeper and let them know, ahead of time or when you give them your statements so that they don't have to keep going back to you with all these questions. Another thing that happens very, very often as well is that sometimes, let's say you're a sole proprietorship that that incorporated, and a client accidentally sends a payment to your sole proprietorship account that we don't do bookkeeping for anymore, right? Or your personal account as well. So if you received a business payment to your personal account or an account that is not connected to QuickBooks or your accounting software, you should inform your bookkeeper. And this is because most accounting softwares will send auto reminders for overdue invoices. You do not want your client getting reminders for overdue invoices that they already paid, that the bookkeeper hasn't marked as paid because the payment didn't go through the business accounts. So I've had this happen before where the client was paid in their personal account. I didn't see the payment go through in the business account, so I didn't mark it as paid. The client of my client got annoyed because the client was getting, overdue invoice reminders. And the client asked me, why didn't you mark it as paid? And I said, it's because we didn't get that amount in the business account. And the client goes, oops, I forgot to tell you that I received the payment in my personal account. So the more information you give your bookkeeper, the less your accounting fees will be, because they know exactly what's going on and they know exactly how to handle those transactions. Less questions, less time, less fees. Next, so this is in terms of filing schedules and tax authorities. So this might not be in your control 100%, but this is just how it works. So the more frequent the filing schedule, let's say if we have to file your HST quarterly versus annually, the higher the fees, and vice versa. So if I only have to file your HST once a year, then you're going to get a lower fee than a different client that say that I have to file the HST monthly or quarterly. Less filing, less headache, less fees, right? Also, the more tax authorities we have to file with. So for example, in Ontario, HST means harmonized sales tax. The GST and PST is blended together to create the HST. So we only have to file with the federal government to the CRA. So we only have to file one return. In other provinces, let's say BC, you have to file the GST and the PST separately. So one filing will go to the CRA for GST, and the PST will go to the BC Ministry of Finance. So you can see there's more work there, because for one client, let's say in Ontario, we only have to file one return. For the other client who's in BC, we have to file two returns. So the less tax authorities we have to deal with, the lower your fees. The more tax authorities we have to deal with, the higher your fees, because it's more work on our part. Another thing to note, if we have to file EHT, WSIB, and all those other things for you, obviously your fees will be higher, because those are extra compliance things that the bookkeeper needs to do for you. These are not applicable to all businesses, but just know that if you don't have EHT or WSIB, you will have lower accounting fees. Next is only have one currency. So accepting payments in multiple currencies will push your accounting fees higher. Number one, bookkeeping is more complicated to do with multiple currencies. Number two, your QuickBooks Online subscription fees will go up, because you'll have to switch over from Easy Start to QuickBooks Online Essentials, because it's the only one, not only one, but it's the first one or the cheapest one that has multi-currency support. So the Plus is $60 a month, and it also is multi-currency. It has multi-currency support, but the cheapest one with multi-currency support will be Essentials, and it's exactly double, right, what Easy Start is. if you do not turn on multi-currency support and you're accepting payments in multiple currencies, that's even going to take longer, because then we're going to have to manually convert the currency, let's say 1,000 US to 1,000 Canadian, manually convert that based on the foreign exchange rate of the day to be able to receive the sale or make the payment. It's even more of a headache. So I really advise you to have only one currency for your company. If it's just a basic company like consulting or something like that, I understand with different industries. Sometimes you have to do multiple currencies, especially with e-com. But if you're just starting out, only have one currency. Next, use your accounting software's native payment processor. So QuickBooks Online, Wave, FreshBooks, etc., they have their own native payment processors, right? So, when you send out an invoice in QuickBooks Online, it says, do you want to turn on QuickBooks Online payments and things like that? So I personally, in my business, I do not charge extra for QuickBooks Online credit card payments because the software does it. It already records the bank fees that QuickBooks takes. However, the more payment processors you have, let's say PayPal, Stripe, Square, other things like that, if you have those payment processors, your accounting fees will go up because it's more work on our part as bookkeepers, and also it's not native to the software. So we're going to have to do some digging around. We're going to have to do some extra statements, pull some reports from, let's say, Stripe or Square to be able to know, how much was the sale, how much were the fees that Stripe took, right, before the money got deposited into your account. So payment processors also affect your accounting prices. So the less that you have, the less payment processors you have, the less accounting fees that you'll have. And again, just use the native payment processor that your accounting software already comes with. That will lower your accounting fees. So PayPal as a payment processor, it's considered a bank account and a payment processor, right? So PayPal is a big factor in a lot of bookkeepers' fees. If there's a PayPal account, definitely your bookkeeping will go up right away. And just note that each transaction in PayPal is considered as two transactions because it's like one for the payment received and then one for the fees that PayPal took. This is the same with all payment processors like Stripe or Square. You'll see that each transaction has two components to it. So that's just something to note. So multi-currency PayPal accounts are also much, much more complicated to do bookkeeping for, right? Because let's say you have 3 different currencies in your PayPal account and we're going to have to figure out which is which, which payment came from which processor and things like that. I do have some clients that, let's say they receive Shopify payments through their PayPal account and then they get paid by other people with their PayPal account as well. So you're just going to have to dig around a little bit and it takes more time to do that. So that's why if you have PayPal, your accounting fees will definitely go up. If you really don't need PayPal, don't connect PayPal to your accounting system or your business, and the less accounting fees you'll have. Bonus. Okay, so this is for e-com businesses. The more e-com platforms or sales channels you sell on, the higher the fees. So A2X Subscriptions, I require this for all my e-com clients. It's a headache to deal with e-com, even with A2X, but A2X does make it easier. So trying to manually record these transactions, honestly, in QuickBooks account, if you don't want to pay for the A2X subscription, I say good luck because it's very difficult. There's a lot of different components with e-com businesses, and there's a reason why bookkeepers love A2X, right? Okay, so you can see here that for 2 sales channels, it's $79 a month. For 3, it's $99 US a month. And then for 4, it's $149, so $150 a month. So the more sales channels you have or e-com platforms you sell on, let's say you sell on Shopify, Amazon, Etsy, that's 3. The A2X subscription alone is almost $100. So the way to lower your accounting fees is if you're starting out, just have one sales channel in the beginning. You can buy A2X subscriptions for each sales channel, and it's going to be a bit cheaper. I think it's around 25 Canadian or $19 for if you're just going to do one sales channel. However, it's very limited. There's no cost of goods sold that comes with it, and limited in your history available as well. So again, the longer you put this off, right, the higher your accounting fees will be. So for A2X alone, if you haven't done your bookkeeping for a year, the cheapest A2X subscription that you would need to buy to get that data into QuickBooks will be $69. The $19 US and 25 Canadian that I was mentioning is not going to do that. It's only going to pull 3 months worth of history. So it ties back to what I said earlier, like get organized, don't put it off till the last minute, because all the things you're doing with delaying this has consequences in terms of your business, in terms of accounting, in terms of the things we need to do to get you up to date. Another thing with e-com is, again, the more e-com platforms, but the more payment processors that you use, the higher your accounting fees. So let's say you have you only have one sales channel, which is Shopify, right? That's fine. You have the same rate. Now, the moment you turn on another payment processor for your Shopify account, let's say you're not only doing Shopify payments, you're receiving payments through PayPal, through Sezzle, then your accounting fees will go up as well. Because not only will you have to reconcile the bank accounts, you're going to have to reconcile the PayPal payments and the Sezzle payments against your Shopify account, and then reconcile those accounts that the money got deposited to. So the more payment processors you use, the higher your accounting fees. The less you use, the lower your accounting fees. So if you're starting out, I suggest you just do Shopify payments. Don't turn on PayPal or Sezzle. You really don't need it when you're starting out. If you're gonna be if you're starting to grow and you're getting bigger and you can handle the extra accounting fees with this, then by all means turn it on. But PayPal and Sezzle with Shopify is a lot of work. So just know, I've had a conversation with a client. They just turned this on without telling me. I got shocked. I saw Sezzle in the account and I said, okay, so you turned on Sezzle payments and PayPal payments and the account. The client was like, yes, like all the clients really like it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so that's a new payment processor and it's going to add, time to the work I need to do for your account. So I have to charge extra for that because it's extra work. It's extra time. You're getting extra money from the extra businesses that you're getting through Sezzle and PayPal. And that also comes with fees. So I try to be very, very transparent in terms of my pricing as well as other bookkeepers. So I'm just telling you all these things. You want to keep accounting fees low? Have one payment processor, have one currency, right? Especially when you're starting out, you don't need all those things yet. And another thing I'd just like to note is that just because something is online and it's digital, like A2X and QuickBooks and things like that, it does not make the process seamless and automated. There is a manual component to all these things, which gets more time consuming and complex as you add more types of accounts, platforms, and payment processors. So the more complex your business is, the higher your accounting fees. The less complex, the lower your accounting fees. And I think that's fair because we have to do more work to be able to make sure that we do your books correctly and that you're compliant. So that comes with longer hours and higher fees. Okay, so we're almost at the end. So just a tip. If you are just starting out and your business is very new, you only have maybe 5-10 transactions a month, ask a bookkeeper if your books can be done quarterly instead of monthly. So I do this for really new businesses and really, really small clients. We do quarterly bookkeeping instead of monthly. And you might ask why. It's because I'm happy that they are being organized, that they want to get things right from the get-go. So I will work with them. I get it. When you're starting out, you don't have much of a budget, you're bootstrapped. I've been there. I've done that, right? So I want to help you. So I work with clients. I say, okay, if we do a quarterly fee, I think you can work on that. And that works with my schedule. It's less work for me. So I'll give you like a really good rate for quarterly bookkeeping. So find a bookkeeper that will work with you on your budget and see if they can suggest some things to be able to work together well and still get their books updated. I'm really happy with, clients that are starting out, because I feel like, okay, if they're making an effort to get things right in the very beginning, it means as they grow, there'll be less of a headache because I've done their books from the beginning. And maybe, once they're bigger, they'll be a monthly client and their fees will go up. But for now, I'm happy to work with smaller clients that we only need to do quarterly bookkeeping for. Okay, here's another tip. Be honest. Include all the information we asked for so we can give an accurate quote. So bookkeepers will change the quote if extra accounts are included in the document submitted that were not discussed during the consultation. So usually what happens is, bookkeepers will do an initial consultation with the client. They'll ask all these questions. The client will answer, this is this is that. We give the quote. And then when we get the documents from the client, there's 2-3 extra bank accounts in there, right? So maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe the client just overlooked it. I don't want to, best case scenario, they just overlooked it. Honest mistake. So if that happens, just I will tell the client, hey, this wasn't included in the quote. This was not discussed. And that will have to be an extra charge. That's extra work for me. And most people are good with things like that. So just be honest. Try to really give your bookkeeper accurate and complete information, because we don't like changing the quote as well, right? It doesn't feel good on both sides. So just try to be as complete as you can be. Give them all the information they need. If you have a PayPal account, that's very, very important. You should tell your bookkeeper that right away. Okay, even if it's only it's only a couple of payments, that's still an account that has to be dealt with and reconciled and everything. So just make sure you inform your bookkeeper completely the situation of your books. If you are behind in taxes, be upfront about that, right? If you owe the government money, let us know, because when we're doing your books, that money that you owe the government, that has to be in your books. It has to be shown in your books. So if we're not aware of that, especially if you've, let's say, filed taxes from long ago, and then now you're looking for a bookkeeper, and then you actually owe this money to the government, the financials will not be accurate if we don't have complete information. So please include that. It might be, embarrassing for you or something like that, but that's financial data that needs to be shown, and the books will be wrong, basically, if that's not included, right? So, okay, another thing is that in all my years of bookkeeping, a lot of the work that I do is actually fixing other bookkeepers' mistakes or the business owner's mistakes. So, quote unquote bookkeepers, anyone can call themselves a bookkeeper. It's not a regulated title. That's why personally, for me, I'm trying to be a certified bookkeeper, because then, it's a certification. Not many people can use that title unless they have the work experience and the educational requirement for that title. It's like a CPA, they have to go to school, they have to take these tests and things like that. So personally for me, I am working towards that. But again, anyone can call themselves bookkeepers, business owners, trying to save some money, doing their own bookkeeping. Just note that QuickBooks Online certifications, they only demonstrate a proficiency level using the software, not the skill of bookkeeping. All a QuickBooks Online certifications means is that you know how to use the software. It doesn't mean that you're a good bookkeeper. It doesn't even mean that you know accounting. I know some people who only know the software and have no idea of basic accounting or debits and credits. So just know who you're dealing with, know the background of the person doing your books, and make sure they actually know basic accounting, they know their debits and credits, they know how to do all these things and how this works. Because I've had people who advertise themselves as bookkeepers actually contact me and say, look, I advertise myself as a bookkeeper, but I actually don't know any bookkeeping, so can I just subcontract the books to you? That's a real scenario that happens, and it has happened several times. So just know who you're dealing with, know their certifications, know if they actually know how to do the work. So another thing to know is sometimes it's actually easier to just start over and like start over completely from zero, or from the last time the taxes were filed. At least then you know the books were correct when the accountant filed the taxes. Start over from there instead of actually just trying to find and fix mistakes. Sometimes the mistakes are so large and so difficult to correct, especially with a lot of issues. So sometimes the bookkeeper may recommend to just start from scratch. So that's just a tip. Get your books done correctly right away from the very beginning, so that you don't have to pay another bookkeeper to fix the first bookkeeper's mistake. And this has happened to me a lot. Like, I've had people saying, you know, they found someone online in a freelancing platform who said they could do the books for $5 an hour. They gave back the financials, and the business owner, who has no accounting background, felt that it was wrong. It just looked wrong, something like that. And then they have to go to someone like me to ask, hey, is this correct? Like, it doesn't seem correct to us. And I have to tell them we're just going to have to redo it. So they effectively paid twice. Right. Okay. So always remember, let's end on a good note. So always remember, there's always someone willing to do it for a cheaper price. This is especially true in bookkeeping. So you get what you pay for in terms of the quality. Bookkeeping is something that deals with, you know, government compliance, the CRA, taxes, things like that. So just make sure that it's done right. The last thing you want to do is to start, you know, like your books are done so wrong that it starts an audit. And that's the worst thing that can happen. I've seen it happen before. So just go with someone you trust, and go with someone you know has the skills to actually get it done. So that's it for today. I'm sorry if this video was long, but I just packed it with all the information I wanted to tell you guys. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if it, you know, taught you something useful, or you just find this funny, or you just like my channel. Hey guys, I hope you liked the video, and please don't forget to subscribe so you can tune in to the next videos in our tutorial series here on YouTube. And once again, this is Arielle from Fix My Books, and I'm here to help you fix your book.